Welcome back, y'all, to the Stoked Metabolic Podcast, where we talk all things health, fitness, wellness, and a whole bunch of stuff in between. We dive into life because that's what we're here for. We're here to live life. I am your host, Coach Tom, and I'm super excited you're here with me. My guest host, Coda, is in my lap. If you're a repeat watcher, you see him pop his head up. He will do that from time to time, and maybe he'll give you a little input on what we're talking about today. So, started my day off with a little treadmill walk as I do. And I took to Instagram because I just needed that 30 minutes on the treadmill to go fast, needed to get over with. So did a little recording and said, ask me anything health and fitness related, and I will cover it today. That's what we're going to dive into. The first question I got was from my buddy Joe. I know him as DVC runner. He is a runner. He runs marathons. He runs half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks. He runs the gamut. Now, Joe also does a little bit of lifting. So I follow him on social media. Obviously, if you don't follow DVC Runner, you better get your butt on it. He does a little bit of lifting, and he came to the expert today with a question: how to tell if you are lifting enough to make gains. So my first question to anybody listening is, how are gains defined for you? So gains can come in many different flavors. What I define as gains might be a little bit different to you. So we'll break down a couple different types of gains before we dive in, and we're going to really have to see which ones you're trying to improve on before we dial it in. Now, one of those types of gains could be improving endurance. I don't think Joe needs to do that, so I don't think that's what he's talking about. But gains can be improving endurance. You know, you being able to last longer in the gym, last longer on the course. So that is one way we quantify gains. Another way we're going to quantify gains is, probably the big one for most people is strength. So are we getting stronger in the gym? Are we able to lift more today than we were last week? Are we able to lift more today than we were last month, last year? We need to look at, improving that strength. And that is my definition of gains. That is the kind of gains I am looking for. Another one we're going to look at physique gains, gaining muscle. That is probably what the vast majority of people are going to look at when we talk about gains. Like Kim and I were coming through MCO the other day, and this dude came up to me and he's like, respect the gains. And Kim's like, what the hell did that guy just say to you? And I'm like, you respect the gains. He gave me the look. And, that put a smile on my face, even though I'm really focused right now on building my strength. That put a smile on my face. And I was like, bro, just keep it up. You keep doing what you're doing, and you follow the lead. You'll get there. Just keep doing what you got to do. Put in the work. And, that was his view on gains was the way I look, and said respect the gains, and got me all blushing, and I was feeling good about life. So we're not going to complain about that. Ask yourself, what are gains to you? And that's something with all of my private clients, like, where do you want to go? I might have a vision for somebody where I said, let's get strong as heck for 6 months. And they're like, well, I'm not really concerned about getting strong. I'm concerned about getting lean. So maybe gains for them is losing weight. So it's all, all in the eye of the beholder. But one of those ways to quantify gains is going to be progressive overload. And this is the basis of what every workout program should look like. It is the principal foundation when you're in the gym talking about strength gains. It's really what you need to be striving for if you want to make gains on your strength. So progressive overload is increasing a couple of different factors. And, I'm in a strength phase right now. So for me, those gains on, like, when I'm progressively overloading, come in being able to lift more weight. So this morning, strapped a 75-pound plate to me and was able to knock out four pull-ups, and felt good about that because I only knocked out 65 pounds on my last time I did this workout. 10 pounds, that is gains to me. That is what drives me. I'm like, man, I was 10 pounds stronger today than I was 1 week ago when I did this exact same workout. Gains can also come in the form of more repetitions. So, maybe I didn't go with, let's think of another exercise I used today. I was doing some curls at the end of my workout, some barbell curls, and I didn't increase the weight at all, but instead of getting 7 reps out, I was able to get 8 reps out. So even though it seems like such a small thing, I'm increasing my overall volume. And that's really, that's another way to track gains and track progressive overload. Are we increasing our rep count or are we increasing our weight size? And, people say, well, you can't increase your weight forever. But I'm sitting here, I just turned 39 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and I can't complain, man. I've hit PRs the last couple of workouts, and I'm feeling good about it. So huge factors. There's never going to be a one size fits all on how much you should lift, but you should be trying to lift more today than you did on your last workout. We should be looking to increase our sets or increase our reps or increase our weights. And that's what's going to give you the muscle gains, which I believe that is what Joe was really looking for here. But you've also, on that note, we have to be mindful to not push past the point of, sacrifice or sacrifice. I know I was recording on the wrong microphone. We'll see how this sounds. I had to do a little checky check. Some people will continuously add weight and form goes out the window. So I look at gains as also maximizing your form, like really, really performing. If you can perform 8 reps with pristine form on a deadlift versus coming in and being, if you're not watching the video, but shoulders are all forward and you're all cranky back, like moving up to a pristine execution of an exercise, that is gains, and that is going to increase your muscle building potential, your strength building potential. So it's also something that we have to look at, but don't push yourself too quickly, because that's how you lead to injury. Progress, it's got to be gradual and it's got to be sustainable. Do not go from throw 1.5 on the bench press if that's what your comfort zone is, and try to put 275 up there. And if you do, make sure you've got a damn good spot. Another way to look at gains is muscular fatigue. So I remember at the start of my current lifting phase, which I'm phased out right now, I'm in 4 weeks of strength. It's a little upsetting to me because I am coming up on the final week. I've already completed 3 of my workouts on my final week in my strength phase, and I was feeling really good about the strength gains. And I'm sad to see myself going to a little higher rep phase as we go for some hypertrophy, but I'm going to end up loving that also. But it's good to mix things up and follow different phases. You don't want to fall into a trap and be a hamster on a wheel. Muscle fatigue. My muscles are fatiguing now a lot less. Even though I'm going heavier weight, I'm able to handle that weight and I'm able to feel good. It's not like, when I bounced out of my run training and I just went into this strength training, the first week sucked. I was like, man, I feel so weak. But coming towards the end of it, I'm not getting as fatigued anymore. And I'm just feeling good about these lifts. And my wife, it probably drives my wife nuts, but I'm like, I could stay in the gym another couple hours and you're not going to hear me cry about it, because I am feeling great right now. And honestly, that's how you want to feel. Another thing we should really talk about, especially as I talked about, I'm in phases right now. I go through phases, tracking your progress. So that is the easiest way to track gains. And we live in this amazing time where it is so stupidly simple to track your progress. When I first started working out, like, iPods were just being invented. iPads were nowhere around. And we walked around with notebooks, like a notebook. And then, all right, let me go back to my chest day, changing pages. And then you get tired of it. Like, you don't want to carry around a notebook while you're working out. It gets boring. It gets a little monotonous. And we're strapped to our phones, man. My phone is sitting there right in front of us recording, and it's always there. It's always there. So now I use my own app. I use my app, and I program all my workouts into my app, and I test them out before I deliver to clients. And me doing that has been game changing. Now, I was using this app with clients since the start of COVID. So it's been a while. I didn't start putting my own workouts in up until this year. I was just old school, just followed, try to remember what I can, and, try to just focus on. This has been a game changer for me, is tracking progress, because I plug my reps into my app, I plug my weights into my app. And at the end of the workout, I click save. Beautiful. It's there. There's a record of it. Now I can go in when I go to do this exact same workout. And so I'm going to touch on that in a second. When I go to do this exact same workout a week later, 3 days later, 5 days later, whatever it may be, I get a list down the side. Last time you did this workout, you got 5 reps at 25 pounds. You got 4 reps at 275 pounds. You got 3 reps at 315 pounds. All right, so now I know my new mark to beat. Now I know that if I want to progressively overload, I need to either A, get 4 or 5 reps out of that 315, or push the bar up to 335, 325, whatever it may be. Now we have this technology that makes it super simple and to track what we're doing and to constantly look for improvement. And you don't realize how the brain works. But I have been lifting for 15 years now. And one of the most satisfying things is when I click complete my workout and it says you hit four new PRs. That is actually what I did today. I got 4 new PRs because I hit the 75 on pull up for 4 reps, I believe. I upped the volume on my bicep curls, and I maxed out my shoulder shrugs at 5 reps for 455 pounds, which also gave me a volume increase. That is, to me, that's like that. I am making gains, yo. So that's just a track. Get an app to track. Get the right app to track. Message me if you need something, and follow a plan. Follow a plan. That is my last thing I'm going to touch on with this episode. Is I watch people for 15 years, and I watch people in group fitness programs, and they'll come in and they'll start with 10-pound weights, and they'll go to 15-pound weights, and then they were uncomfortable at first with those weights. And then they go to 20s, which 20s starts feeling uncomfortable for them. And then they get comfortable there. They get comfortable with those 20s, and they just stop. They're afraid to go to the heavier rack. They're afraid of getting bulky, which that does not happen. That is not a thing. You will not get bulky from lifting too much unless you're eating to get bulky. That's not a real thing. You have to lift. You have to eat if you want to get bulky. And there are people that try that for years, but I see people just, they throw stuff at the wall, and they're like, I talk to people in the gym. I'm like, oh, what are you working on today? I might do some chest. I might do some back. I'm thinking I might do. And I'm like, man, I've been eyeballing that squat rack for 10 minutes because that is in my program. I build out my program, and I just had a consultation with a potential client, and I told her, I said, I have every workout up until mid-January planned right now. It is May 15th. I have all of my workouts. Now, barring injury, so knock on wood, I hope we don't have an injury. Barring vacations, I've got the rest of my year planned out for workouts because I phased them towards my end zone. So I'm doing the Dopey Challenge again this January. Everything is built around that. Right now, I'm not run training. So I've got 6 days a week where I can lift. I can focus on gains, and that is getting stronger, getting bigger, eating to get big. And, that is my focus. June or July, I don't have the calendar up here, but June or July is when my dopey training starts. And it's 3 days of running. And like I said, I'm 39. I'm not a spring chicken. So I'm going to spend 3 days focused on running. And I'm only going to lift 3 days. And a big part of that is to see what happens during that transformation. Just to see, like, how does my body handle? I'm somebody who's lived in a gym for years. How does my body react to that? To a 3-day plan? And I mean, I've done 3 days, but I'm gonna get super zoned in on the running. Not to say I'm not gonna focus on strength on those lifting days, but I think there's gonna be a lot of positive benefits, which is gonna be great. So I'm gonna track gains like that, and that pretty much covers it. But how to plan your workouts? There's so many people that are like, this is the same thing I did the other day. I do the same workouts for 4 weeks at a minimum. That's the only way you're gonna get better. So when people come at me and they're like, oh, I learned this new exercise, I'm just like, dude, they're the same exercises. Same exercises have worked. I mean, variations on them, good. But the squat, the deadlift, the bench press, the pull-up, the row, the lunge, these are exercises. These are functional movements. They have been around forever for a reason. They're the ones that work. Yes, we'll put a little variation on them sometimes, but like, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Let's use what works in our programming. Let's do smart programming, and that's going to allow you to track gains. It should not be, your workout should not be different every single week. You should train with intention. You should train with a goal in mind, and you should train looking for progressive overload. Simple as that. I'm going to cut this one here, but don't forget about recovery. That is another super important thing. Building muscle isn't just about lifting. It is about recovering after those lifts. So, right now I'm doing the 6 day a week. I can feel it. I feel a little different. I'm going to see how I feel. But if I need to scale it back to 5, I scale it back to 5. But I'm stretching more, I'm foam rolling more, and I'm doing everything to maximize that recovery. Joe, I hope that answers your question. Everybody else, thank you for listening to the Stoked Metabolic Podcast, and I hope to see you back here next time.